John Strickland joins. There's the Golden Tones. Mike or John, do you want to be the next head football coach of the Gamecocks?
Salary, yes. Other than that, no, I'm good.
No.
Big bourbon NIL deal for you if you take the job.
Yeah, right? That would be great.
Big bourbon NIL deal.
Like Mark Stoops has got the hookup up there from what I hear.
Oh gosh, yeah. You think he ever pays for?
Oh,
for
no.
bourbon?
And he's a part of RD1.
What is that?
It's
Oh,
so,
I've never had that.
Oh, it's good. So I think Mark is like part ownership of it or something, or some kind of investor in it. They make good
Okay.
stuff. Yeah.
Did not know that. I've got a special. I have to get the bottle. I'll show you both. Will love this special Kentucky Derby. My wife got it for me when she was up there in Louisville, with the logo of a horse on the bottle.
Yeah.
Woodford?
Is it Woodford?
Woodford, yeah.
Yeah, I have a few.
I've got one of those.
Do you really?
Yep.
Yep.
They're 1 liter bottles.
I can't remember who gave it to me, but I got it. It wasn't even during the Derby last year. It was sometime after it, but somebody gave me one of those. It's pretty cool. I haven't opened it.
Yeah, a lot of people collect those.
Yeah,
they collect them every year. They collect them, every single Derby.
Yep.
I have that one.
I've got that too, Mike, and I've got one that I haven't opened sitting right here in my office. It says 2017 NCAA Men's and Women's Final Four, South Carolina Gamecocks, a Woodford bottle too.
Yeah, they do all kinds of special ones. One of my in-laws has like one for every Kentucky Final Four and national championship. So this one says Kentucky Derby 151. That's the one coming up, 151.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Yep.
Did you have to special order that, or how'd you get that?
No, they had it here in Columbia at some limited stores.
Okay, very nice.
Yeah.
It's a very smart marketing strategy, if you ask me.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
They know they'll sell. Like, I just keep that bottle around as like, just pour something in it or pour Woodford in it just to have that bottle during football season.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Just refill the Woodford bottle.
Yep.
Absolutely.
All right. So I earlier, we're 8 days away from spring ball at South Carolina. Guys are underway and things like that. Brad Crawford, by the way, has got a nice article up about, some topics with all the top 25 teams. Y'all remember around this time last year how much conversation was being created about Nyck Harbor? Remember that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was hot and heavy. And I know I was one, and I know the two of you, we all kind of push back on that a little bit. Pump the brakes. Let's see here. But what ended up happening was what I think, again, collectively, we all thought would kind of happen. John, speaking just from the experience of being a college football player, clearly, and Mike, you and I have seen enough of it to be able to put the pieces together. Hey, as the season goes along, this kid's probably going to end up being all right. I think it's a little bit different this go around, though. Like somebody asked me the other day, who are you most excited about? I said, well, aside from the quarterback, it's got to be everybody's number one answer. I mean, you're lying if you're not. This time I am the most excited about Nyck Harbor offensively. Like, if you ask me to pick a guy, because of a lot of reasons. Number one, he's been around for a couple of years. And he has a whole football dedicated offseason to develop. And then also, I think this group as a whole, we saw them get better and better and better with Mike Fury last year. There's a lot of commotion going on out there about how they don't have anybody and they need to go to the portal and this, that, and the other. I'm not buying that. I'll be honest with you. And I think he's actually going to be the one that leads that charge. Well, John, we can start with you.
Yeah, I mean, if you just watch his progression last year through the season, about mid-season, especially the Alabama game, Nyck started hitting his stride throughout the year.
Yeah.
And I think it's just him being on the team, on the practice field, and getting the reps in. And, this offseason, he's like, hey, I'm 100% football during the offseason. So I think that's going to help him tremendously. So I look for some big things from him because, we can sit here and talk about how great Lenore Sellers was last year, but you got to have playmakers on the outside around you to make you that much better.
Yeah.
You know what I'd like to see, while the video games, had him in Canton before he did anything last year. You know what I'd like to see? I'd like to see, like, give me peak Jared Cook. Now, Cook technically was a tight end, but he didn't block anybody. He didn't block anybody in the NFL. But they're built about the same. Obviously, one's a track speed guy, but Cook could fly now.
Oh, he could move.
Spurrier used to call him Little T.O. Remember that?
Yeah.
And so Jared Cook maybe wasn't the most natural route runner and guy when he came to campus in Columbia, but he turned himself into a pretty good player and had a really lengthy, solid NFL career.
Long pro career.
Yeah. So maybe Nyck Harbor can make that kind of step. They're both about 6'5", 240, somewhere in that range. And obviously Harbor's, he can go to a combine and he'll light it up. But now he's got to continue to improve just as a football player.
Yeah, I felt like, to John's point a minute ago, like I felt like he was a guy learning and trying to play wide receiver for about 7 games last year. Like, and then after that, he was a wide receiver. Does that make sense? Like I felt like he was like feeling his way around the game, trying to grow up out there and get I'm trying to play wide receiver at this level. And then last 4 or 5 games, it's like, okay, he looks more like an actual wide receiver in the SEC.
Well, I think after the Alabama game, it kind of gave him that confidence boost too, right? That huge catch he made was unbelievable. It's probably the catch of the year off the team, tapping that toe in for that touchdown, which was a huge play in the game for us. And I just think from there, he just started to take off. The Missouri game, he had a spectacular game. I think that's the one I'm remembering. I think it was Missouri or either A&M, but you just saw Nick come on more. He made some key catches in the Clemson game. So I just think, with being out on the field, getting the experience, he's just gotten better and better. And now that he's focusing on football 100% this year and not doing the track thing, I think you're going to see even more strides with him.
Like, if you actually think about it, that the core group of wideouts, Jacobs, Bennett, Jared Brown, and Harbor, they've actually played a lot of football, if you actually think about it. They've collectively.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm excited for the group. I think it's going to be a strong group, and Coach Fury. He's one of the best, in my opinion. He's one of the best coaches out there, and he had a long pro career. He's been around. He knows what it takes. So I'm super excited about this receiving core, what they could be.
Yeah. I just want to see an alpha. I want somebody to emerge as.
I agree. Who's the guy?
Yeah. Because if you look at like most of the great, not even just in the SEC, you could expand it to college football. Most of them had an alpha, a guy that you need a big play, and it's like, go make it.
Mm-hmm.
Go make life a little easier on the quarterback. Get open, and if I throw it in your direction, I know you can make that play. That's what I'd love to see.
Well, there's Mazio, Sellers, and Dillon were at the Mason Jar in New York City last night for an autograph signing and Gamecock event. So I talked to Mike Uva about it last night afterwards. He said it went great, and all the guys gave some really good answers, had all the Gamecock fans up there hyped.
Well, I think they have every right to be. I like this offense. Obviously, if you don't have a quarterback, it's hard to say that. Let me ask you a question. So Bobo got extended, right? Didn't I see he got an extension?
Well, I heard something on this yesterday. I heard it somewhere. He had already had a 3-year deal as of last year, so he has 2 more years left on his contract, and Georgia fans were up in arms. It's like, what? We didn't know he had that long on his contract. So he's got 2 years left on his contract.
What? Why Mike wanted to go back to Georgia, I'll never know. Doesn't matter what happens, he's always going to be the punching.
Oh, he is. I feel like I'm in a time machine, and it's back to the first time he had the job.
No, that's
and he was a piñata, and then he kind of reinvented himself, comes back to Georgia, and it's the same thing. They rip on him mercilessly.
That's Georgia fans
every day.
Yeah,
like that taxes and Mike Bobo's.
I got a family full of Georgia fans, so I know all about it.
Yeah, you probably hear it nonstop, right?
Yeah.
So, who coming into the spring or going into the fall, however you want to look at it, would you rather be in South Carolina's position with Mike Shula calling the plays, Lenore Sellers, or would you rather be Gunnar Stockton and Mike Bobo and the offense in Athens?
I mean, I don't think it's any question that who the superior quarterback is in my eyes.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, give me Sellers and Shula. That's the way I see it. You know, Gunnar hasn't proved anything. And, you know, early in his career, I heard people say, you know, we don't know if this guy will ever actually play at Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
I heard that buzz
a lot
from inside the building from some people I knew. So, but I will give it to Gunnar. He SEC championship game. He stepped up and played a hell of a game. So, but yeah, I'm taking Lenoris all day on this one.
Who's in the better spot, Mike, going into the spring?
Oh, I think Lenoris is ahead of Gunnar Stockton.
Well, I mean collectively, the whole system.
Yeah, your question, I took it as what offense is more set to succeed, like 1 through 11.
Yeah.
I mean, I hadn't really been thinking a whole lot about what Georgia's offense is going to look like next year.
It better look good.
Well, yeah.
We know that.
It better look good for Mike Bobo, but they've had problems getting the wide receiver. They had that one little pocket where you had Ladd McConkey, who was under-recruited, and you had Brock Bowers, a kid from Napa, California, and they just turned out to be, you know, Brock's a freak of nature, and Ladd McConkey, as you saw at the NFL level as a rookie, you can't cover him, and he catches everything. And the moment those two guys left, and I tried to warn my Georgia friends over here, like, Carson Beck's going to miss those dudes. No, we're Georgia. No, he's going to miss them. Trust me. And Carson Beck took not one step back, not two, but about 10. Yeah, I'm glad he's got G'd up at Miami, and good luck to you and your Cavender twin and maybe another Lambo. But he went from being a top 10 pick in the NFL draft to a guy that has to completely convince scouts that he's worthy of even being selected now. So my point of that is, for turning it to 2025, who are the weapons for Georgia now for Gunnar Stockton? That I'm not sure.
Well, and you know, Georgia led the country last year in drops from wide receivers.
Did they really?
Mm-hmm.
I sure did. Yeah. Phil, see if you can mute Mike if you don't mind, so we don't peek in on his. You know, do you know who games 3 and 4 are for the Dogs? Have you seen this?
I hadn't even looked at it.
Well, they open with Marshall and Austin Peay. They hit the road for Knoxville in week 3. Then they have an off week. And then the Tide come to town.
Yeah, so they start out in the weeds, right?
Yeah. And then they've got Kentucky. They go to Auburn. They got Ole Miss. Look, John, I'm probably one of the few, and you know me, man, I'm not a big bold prediction maker or anything like that, but I just don't see it in Lexington. I just think it's over up there. I don't care what they've done in the portal. I just think it's over for Mark Stoops. But trips to Tennessee and Auburn, you know, Auburn, obviously that rivalry in itself, but then you're talking about a new quarterback situation. Hugh Freeze has been around now a little while, got his feet underneath him. I mean, you could be looking up middle of October. Georgia's got a couple of losses, and you're going.
Yeah, Auburn's going to be a tougher team than they have been the past 2 years. I still, if it was today and I had to pick, I mean, I'm taking Georgia that game, but
no, I would.
You know, going up to Knoxville is no easy feat, especially with the talent they've been able to bring into that program since Heupel's been there. And then Alabama at home, which I know Alabama's got its own question marks. And then you said Ole Miss is what, the fourth one on that list, the SEC games. I mean, listen, I said this the other week. I think Ole Miss is a little overhyped right now until you see what they have. I mean, they lost so many. The whole wide receiving core is gone. The quarterback's gone. The majority of the defense. I mean, there's just so many players going off of that team.
Yeah, it's really quite fascinating to be honest with you. We thought like 3 years ago, I think, right? About 3 years ago that Georgia, or well, I don't want to say we thought, that's kind of a loose term, but there were predictions being made by a lot of the college football community that Georgia had kind of become the new Alabama. And you could make that argument at that point in time. There's no question. But I remember anytime it would come up, I'm like, yeah, you're going to need to give me a little bit more time if you want an honest opinion on that. We're not there yet. Bama's been doing this for 15 years. I mean, we're talking about, 4 or 5 year period here where the Dogs have kind of become what they've become. They hadn't done everything that Saban's done down there. And now you look in the last couple of years and you look, there could be some kinks in the armor here. They could be getting snake bit by this league just like everybody else is.
Oh, well, that's what I was just about to say. You know what's happening is these Alabamas and Georgias are getting snake bit by the NIL transfer portal.
Mm-hmm.
All these teams are just so much more evenly matched than they were in the past. So, I mean, you can go out and get guys and pay them money to come play on your team. And, I mean, look at us. We had some huge transfer portals that players that produced for us this past year.
Yeah.
That's why we almost made the playoffs, because you had guys you had come in, key players. There was one big one on offense, and then there was two big ones on defense out of the transfer portal that really, really helped our football team last year. So I think in this day and age, I think it's harder to win for the teams like the Georgias and the Alabamas. Obviously, Ohio State and Texas last year, I heard their NIL was close to $30 million for those rosters last year. So that's why they were basically at the top. But, with all this stuff that's going to be going down with NIL and, revenue share stuff, I think it's going to change it some even more.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's going to put it even more on a level playing field.
Yeah, it's bizarre to even think what could be coming. It almost makes you question a little bit if Texas spent that much money. Is the juice totally worth the squeeze? I mean, Ohio State won the national championship. So
yeah, but they had Ohio State on the ropes there for a little bit in that semifinal game. So, I mean, they were close. They were close. They were. So I would say it was almost worth the squeeze. It may have been worth the squeeze. I mean, hell, I'd love to get the semifinals.
Yeah.
So, I think it's worth the squeeze, baby.
Yeah, I can hear Shane right now. You find me $20 million, I'll get you to the semifinals.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Which, let's be real now, our roster is over probably 15 million, somewhere right in that range. So it's not like it's far off.
Yeah, I think that's forgotten about often. I think that there's still a section out there that probably don't follow it very closely, and that's understandable. Probably don't even want to. It's exhausting to have to try to do it, and have no idea that there's actually a substantial NIL investment in South Carolina right now. Of course, as you mentioned, all those changes are coming up. So a week from today, John, we got 25 guys that are going to be working out for Pro Day at Williams-Brice Stadium. It starts, I think it starts at 8 in the morning, and it'll extend into our time here on the air and stuff like that. I think that this is going to be the most fascinating Pro Day maybe in the history of the school. And obviously the main reason that I'm saying that is because they are absolutely going to have one first rounder. There's no question there. Can they get more in? That's part of it. The other part is what you've been predicting, and the fact that this this is likely. I think it's likely that they're going to break the program record by a nice margin for the number of players who hear their name called in next month's NFL draft. The question is, and I know at Pro Day you bring everybody in who's eligible for the NFL, not just the combine guys or the high profile players. But the question is, how many additional guys can get signed coming out of this? Debo Williams, for instance, who didn't go to the combine.
I mean, Debo and Boogie are two that pop straight in my head.
Huge, yeah.
Those guys.
It's going to be huge for them next Tuesday, right?
Yeah, it'll be huge for them, and it'll be huge for our two other interior offensive linemen. So, I mean, yeah, it's a big day for especially those four guys. I'm just trying to think of any other seniors
that didn't go to the combine.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I think that's it. Of guys who started and played a ton.
Yeah, I'm trying to. I can't. I don't know.
That's it.
I think that's it, right?
That's it. Yeah. Because we had our what?
Vershawn.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. All three of our interior. Well, obviously Simpkins went, but I'm talking about our other two interior offensive linemen. So they'll have their opportunity to shine. Debo Williams and Boogie Huntley are the other two. So there's four guys that weren't invited to the combine, but that played a lot of football, and they'll have their opportunity to show the scouts what they can do.
Hey, when they're doing that, Phil said Jules, but Jules went to the combine.
Yeah, he did.
When they're doing that, like Sellers can get out there and throw to them, right?
Yeah. I mean, they'll have somebody throwing the football. I don't know who's going to go out there and throw it, but there's no you can have whoever. Yeah, you can bring it, because I think Perry threw one year and he wasn't even in school. I think Perry went back and threw at the pro day and stuff like that. But you also, because there's going to be representatives from every single organization in the NFL, all of them. Oh, we're gonna have a ton of upper to head coach type people here for pro day with all the guys we got. Yeah, I think you'll have the high profile guys. Like, this is a stop for them. They're not just going to send lower level scouts or anything like that. This is going to be a very well attended thing. That generally is a really good sign for a football program when the NFL guy are sending their top guys, whether it's head coaches or GMs or whatever it may be, because let's not bury our heads in the sand here. All these coaches, Shane Beamer included, are smart enough to make sure that they get more of their players in front of them somehow while they're moseying around the facility or whatever. Oh, there's Dylan Stewart. Oh, he looks good. There's, you know what I mean? Yeah. Oh, that's Sellers, huh? Oh, yeah. Okay. It's actually a very sneaky way to raise the profile of your college football program. Oh, 100%. I mean, I almost wish this was on a weekend. You could have recruits out there too, seeing all of it. That would be kind of cool. I wonder if you could do that. I don't know why you couldn't. Mm-hmm. I mean, why couldn't you? I don't know. I don't know anything about it. I don't know if they can. I don't know if that's. I don't even know what period they're in. I guess they're allowed to host events and stuff right now, right? I don't know. I haven't looked at the schedule. Yeah, I think in March you're allowed to have players back on campus. That'd be an idea. Yeah, but anyways, it's good exposure for the program. There'll be some TV cameras. We'll probably get some highlights from on NFL Network. That's usually what they do for some of the bigger pro days at some of these schools every year. And I'd be shocked if they didn't pick to have a camera or camera crew out there for ours with all the guys that we got coming out. Yesterday, John, we got a bunch of news, about $100-something million worth of news from former players signing deals. J.C. Horn, of course, stole the show with the 4-year, $100 million deal with the Panthers. We'll see how that works out. I mean, well, it's going to work out great for him. He just got $100 million basically put into his checking account, so that'll be nice. I think he's what did he get, $70 million guaranteed? 70 guaranteed, or 75, something like that.
But you got Kinlaw, you got Ernest Jones. Hey, man, the Washington Redskins are making a run at this thing. They're signing everybody. I don't think in my lifetime I can remember seeing the Redskins be as aggressive as they've been the last couple of days with free agency deals.
I mean, they're close. They were close this past year. They were
know.
so close to being that Super Bowl contender. So I think they're doing whatever they have to do to listen. That's where I went out of school here. You know, undrafted. I was invited to camp. But yeah, I mean, those Washington fans, they are passionate, and they want to win. They want to get back to the old days when they were winning all the time. So I think Washington's doing everything they need to do to try and get to a Super Bowl.
Yeah, they have a quarterback now.
Yeah, yep.
You know,
have a quarterback, and now they got some really good wideouts. Now they're trying to stack on that defense. So I don't know, man. I think they're gonna be one of the odds favorites, in my opinion.
Dude, have you seen some of the articles that are out about Javon Kinlaw?
No.
Yeah, they're not good. Reviews are not positive for new Commanders defensive lineman Javon Kinlaw. Commanders' first big move of free agency is a mistake that honestly doesn't make much sense at all. Like, he's getting bagged by some of these media guys out there. 3-year, $45 million.
Shut the noise. Go play ball.
Yeah.
They'll listen to it.
He's had
I mean, listen, he's been injured a lot in his pro career, and that's caused him to fall off. So hopefully he can, you know, get things back on track for himself. But obviously, if you're signing for that much money, teams believe in you, and we've all seen it. We know what kind of player he can be.
Yeah.
I mean, he was probably the most dominant D tackle I've ever seen at Carolina when he was here.
Oh my God. When he hit he won the Georgia game, if you ask me.
Yep.
In 2019.
He was mauling them.
I mean, mauling them. They couldn't do anything about it.
Yep.
Be nice to find another one of those guys around here. That's for dang sure. All right, so that's going to be my new team, just so you know. Because you got Debo and Javon. I like Daniels. So I'm just going to go with the Redskins now. Sorry, they're going to –
I think they're going to be pretty good, so it's not a bad choice.
All right. Well, I got to let you go. I didn't realize it's 11:30. You got to meet.
That's all good, man. we got about 1 minute. Well, right now.
Yeah, I wasn't paying attention. I'm just sitting here talking ball, like I'm just sitting in the living room having a bourbon with Strick. But no, next week we'll start to be able to fire up things a little bit more with a lot of this spring practice stuff. I'm obviously excited to see some of these guys, but I wanted to throw that at you today. The Nyck Harbor conversation, to me, I think this is his time. When those conversations start to come out now, at least personally speaking, we'll be much more willing to engage in them than I have been the previous 2 years in the spring.
Yep, I'm super excited. I can't wait to get out there and see some football.
Yeah. We'll let you run, brother. As always, we appreciate it. Enjoy one of those bottles of bourbon tonight.
All right, guys. Take care.
See ya. There you go. The great John Strickland talking ball.